Welcome to FazRadio. I'm told that I need to be very excited about the fact that OpenSea has been served a Wells notice. Find out in just a minute. And we have shorter intros now. Okay. What's up?
Not much. It's a holiday weekend, man. I am loving it.
You look like you know those I don't know. You just got this. I don't know. You look like this kind of religious podcast thing going on here.
No. Farthest thing from religion ever is sitting in this seat right here.
It's good to see your keyboard there and your trackball and your plants in the back. That's good. And the newly installed brick wall you have behind you. Hopefully it doesn't mess with your acoustics.
It's great for acoustics.
Let's see. Do we have people commenting that we're here? Very nice streaming setup, Titan.
That's what I'm talking about.
Back of my whatever.
I think you're a little jealous that I look so awesome, and you're just with your head cut off.
I got one of these. Did you shine your dome and everything? Because it's very reflective.
So I had a little trouble with the lighting. I probably could have fixed it. But I didn't want to be too late for the cast. I got myself a while back. I got a good softbox and a good Godex light. The problem is I had too much crap in this tiny little studio, and so today I hauled everything out of there. I got this thing rearranged, and I didn't have time to bring the good light up, so I'm using the room light, which obviously casts a little bit of glow on my dome.
Oh, and it shines off those bricks really well.
It does. My lighting is as good as it gets.
I see. You should move away from the desk because your Dunlop's disease is kind of Dunlopping over the desk.
No, that's not my Dunlop's disease. That's the shadow from the microphone.
Oh, okay. All right.
See?
I see you're working
it's
out.
Still there.
Right. Okay.
I do have a little Dunlops going on, but not that bad.
Yeah, I have a messy chair. So let me take my coat and shirt off the chair here. This is 2 coats, actually. A pair of socks.
Is it that cold out there?
Sometimes. That's why not right now. That's why the coat is there. Oh, my backpack. Wait, I should move my backpack.
It's been ridiculously hot here in Cleveland. And it's that terrible every August you get the same thing. It's like 85 degrees with like 70% humidity. It's just unbearable out there. So for the past 3-4 days, that's what we've had. And that means the signal for Labor Day and the end of summer is no doubt here, because very shortly after, in a week or two, temperatures will start dropping and we'll be in the 70s as highs. And, by mid-September, end of September, we're going to be lucky to hit 70 every day. So I'm going to enjoy the heat while I can. Thank you, General.
Well, my setup is coming in about a month or so, because that's when I might be moving back into my other house, the one that was hit with a tree. So it's taken a while to repair it.
They're making good progress, though?
They're making good progress. Things are getting done finally.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
A rental house. Not too bad. You need some nice virtual studio background, Faz, with the Zip Bugs theme. Aw. That's
yes.
So nice. Yes, I do.
That's a good idea.
My office is going to get even smaller than it is right now, but I'll have a big.
What I can do, I'm going to have to get a nice brightly colored zip bug to put like right here.
There you go.
I have a couple of them. Maybe I'll make a poster out of one of them.
There you go. Yeah, as long as you don't make any money off them, they're not yours.
Of course not. I would
Well,
never do
that
that.
copy is yours, and you may use it for non-commercial purposes.
Deal.
Yes, I guess if you're going to use it for FazRadio and collect money off of FazRadio, well then, I guess that's okay.
So I was kind of shocked myself with this OpenSea deal. How did you find out?
Let's see. I think I woke up in the morning and I looked at my phone like I usually do. I saw a news flash. I don't know. Probably saw it on Twitter or something. Basically, the SEC is trying to, served OpenSea with a Wells notice, which is actually, so what's that? Saying that what they might be offering are securities, or maybe they're reselling securities, or they're all securities. The way that the SEC seems to work is that they just leave the implication open, and then they just kind of go after everything and see whatever sticks.
So I think part of that is being a money transmitter as well. I think that'll end up being part of it too.
Let's see. Thank you for Mr. Zorro. He posted a link here for me. SEC issues Wells notice to OpenSea claiming NFTs are securities. Just NFTs. If NFTs are securities, that means everybody's boned who's ever made an NFT, including you, Mr. Titan. You've made an NFT.
Yeah, I have a collection. I'm hoping it's still out there. I used IPFS in its infancy, and they said, what the heck was that called? I think I still have a link here. Yeah, NFT Up is what I used. And it was a free connection from, who was that? It's a token. And they also, they're a big IPFS provider. Anyway, I put those on there. So what I'm thinking is that they do think they're securities because it is speculation. No? How are NFTs not speculative?
Okay, so what's interesting is about how people have already revealed some information about art. Okay, so apparently back in the 70s, the SEC went on record to say that art sales are not securities, including art sales to investors who are totally planning to resell it. Now the thing is, how could electronic art be securities when physical art is not? I think that's something that needs to be resolved.
So I'm not sure if they're trying to assert that all the NFTs are securities. The ones that claim to have utility, such as gaming NFTs or like Bored Ape Yacht Club that allows special benefits for certain people, I absolutely can see that. The art part, I agree with you on. I don't think those should be messed with because it is the same thing as any art that anybody makes.
Well, if you're saying NFTs are securities, which I believe here, I'm just going to post this in chat here. If the SEC actually said the words NFTs are securities, that's a problem because NFTs are just electronic versions of a lot of the things that we have out right now, just in other ways. So art is a perfect example. You make a picture and you make an NFT out of it, and take a picture and scan it in or whatever, make an NFT, and then you sell it and somebody buys it. That's a security. How?
It can be. So we've talked ad nauseum on the show here over the years about the Howey Test, right? Do you remember the Howey Test? If you pull up those prongs for the Howey Test.
What's the Howey Test?
The Howey Test is back from 1948, I believe it was, 1946, 1948. They came up with a set of rules or guidelines, I should say, that if it meets these certain criteria, it shall be deemed a security. And so there's you don't have to satisfy all of them in order for it to be a security, but it does. If you hit all the prongs of it, the odds are virtually guaranteed you're going to have a security, right? So let me see if I can find a link.
Well, I can read it here. This is what's good about AI. The 4 questions that must be answered are: is the transaction an investment of money? Is there a common enterprise? Is there an expectation of profits? And are the profits derived from the efforts of others? Well,
for a gaming token, yes.
Well, what
for a gaming NFT,
you could say the same thing about a hot dog.
Listen,
I mean, you could say the same thing about anything sold for profit that is made.
No, that's only one prong. That's only one prong. You read 4, and 4 of those, if you have a gaming NFT, you bought it with money or tokens, right? So there's a value transacted.
You mean like a football? That's a gaming NFT, right?
You then, for the second prong, that has to be a common enterprise, right? There's a big conjunction of these things together, and a group of people are buying them.
You mean like somebody?
So it hits 2
footballs for a living, then, right?
So then you have number 3, an expectation of profit. I can't find anybody that has purchased gaming NFTs that has not drooled over the prospect of either flipping them or earning money with them.
So like houses, then somebody who might flip a house, is that a security?
No, because you were on footballs. You have to use the same thing all the way through the test.
You could use
so
that
we're on footballs
all the way through too. You could use that with houses all the way through. A lot of
and
people
then finally, it's reliant on the efforts of others. The game maker has to make the game, and they have to make the NFT have value.
Mm-hmm.
It meets all 4. Now let's back up and do a zip bug. Start with number 1. You pay for it. Okay, we got that. The second one, a common enterprise. Well, you could maybe argue that one. Maybe.
What's a common enterprise?
Where
this is law with Titan here. Let me get this set up. The banner. Wait, law with Titan. There we go.
Oh my
I gotta
God!
roll it across the bottom of the screen. Like, okay, go ahead. Jesse Hines will love this.
No, so first of all, this isn't being a lawyer. This is my well over a decade experience as a registered representative, a financial planner who had licenses from the NASD and was authorized to transact in securities. I also had, at that point, a Series 24, which was basically a compliance supervisor. I had to make sure people were suitable for it. I had the authorization to pull people from investments if I didn't think it was suitable for them. And I had to oversee the other advisors, and what they were recommending was basically kind of fitting a Howey test, right? It had to be suitable for the customer. So that it's not law. It is my experience in working in the securities industry for a very long time.
Okay,
you changed it. Okay,
you're telling me it's zip bugs or security. So what's a common enterprise?
I'm not. All we're doing is going through these points here. Okay, so we hit the common enterprise. A common enterprise is where kind of like a group of people are with a company and they're all pursuing the same goal or same way of thinking, right? So maybe there's some people who might just want to collect them. I don't know if you have to kind of be a part of the ecosystem. So number 2, I think, is iffy. Could go either way.
Okay.
Expectation of profit. I'm not so sure. Listen.
Not right now, but that could happen. If one of them takes off and other people start getting into it, then it becomes a security all of a sudden?
No, that's not the way you're looking at it wrong.
Okay.
The way that you would look at it is if when you are buying it, the reason that you're buying it is for a profit or an expectation of profit down the road.
Well, somebody could easily say that.
Right. So it's iffy, right? So we have one that's, yeah, pretty much you bought it with money. Next, two are kind of iffy. And the last prong of that Howey test is the reliance upon others to make it useful, right?
So if I ask people to advertise it for me, right?
No. So how do I describe it the best way? It's kind of confusing, right? So those bugs do not rely on you for anything for people who are collecting them. They're just collecting them, right? If you were to make promises around those, such as, hey, these are all going to be in my Zip Sprint game, or these are all going to be in books, or these are all going to be whatever in comic strips, or we're making a movie out of them, then at that point, I think you do meet that prong. So you're way iffy, but you're way on the no side of iffy for the fourth prong. So I don't think that at this point it would be classified as a security.
Well, then this is why I want to talk about it, because apparently me just putting art out there all of a sudden turns it into a security. Now, if I just put out art out there and maybe it's not a security, and then I go do supporting things like other things with my zip bugs, then those NFTs just become a security all by themselves?
They could turn into a security if later on you build an ecosystem that meets all four prongs of that Howey test, or at least three of them, and that four iffy is leaning towards yes, then it's possible that something could be deemed a security later. And it goes both ways. So something that is a security today, that they deem a security today, can do things to back themselves out of the security. And we did a show on that probably 2 years ago, if you remember, when they'd first come out with the idea about splitting the responsibilities between the CTFC or CFTC and the SEC. And they could go back and forth. There was an initial ruling. Remember, they had to self-declare. And then they would go to one side or the other, but they could move between the two. Oh, I've been meaning to talk about, we have to take a quick sidebar back to the Titan law thing. So we have to take a quick sidebar because I've been meaning to say this, and this is for you, Faz, and for anybody who's listening who owns a business. We reported this a year ago when the law was passed. You have to make your declaration by the end of this year to register your company with the government. Remember how we did that?
Well, tell us again.
I got an email about it just the other day, and I've been meaning to bring that up. Where is my browser?
So all you're saying is you need to register your company with the government. And why is this?
Registering. What was it? I forget the name of what it was called. With the oh, for goodness sakes. I had the email. You have to file your come on, somebody help me out here.
Everybody's staring at you like kids in the classroom. This is law with Titan. You're supposed to be telling them.
Government.
Okay.
I know. Listen. Oh, here we go. The Corporate Transparency Act. That was it. It requires most small businesses to register, and you have to do this before the end of this year. You're going to get fined like ridiculous amounts of money. It's like $5,000 a day or something stupid.
So you realize that with all the businesses in the United States, that's a complete boat anchor.
Yes, but
tell me more.
Okay. So what you have to do is you have to provide your full legal name, date of birth, residential or business address, your tax identification number, your state issued license, and all those fun little documents. And you have, if entities were formed before January 1st, 2024, you have to register before January 1st, 2025. Entities formed after January 1st, 2024, you only have 90 days to file that. So if you registered a brand new business in 2024, you had 90 days from the date you started your business to give that registration. And the fine is $500 per day, capped at $10,000, and up to 2 years in prison if you provide false or fraudulent information. You also, if there's any changes to your company, once you register, you have to go there within 30 days of a change and update your documentation. Things like sales or transfer with 25% or more ownership, the removal or appointment of any new directors or senior officers, you change your business name, a change to the owner, your address, your tax identification number, any of those things. They're basically KYCing businesses now because of all these shell corporations. That's why they enacted this law, because they're chasing people through all these empty shell corporations and they can't figure out who owns what.
Wow, what you're saying is I can imagine hundreds and thousands of small businesses not doing this, and you're telling me that they'll all be shut down now because
you didn't listen. You didn't listen to what I said. You're just going to get fined up to $10,000 per year if you don't register. And this is with FinCEN, by the way, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network.
And what I'm trying to tell you is how many businesses are not going to do that out of ignorance, and are each one of those going to get dinged $10,000 each year? That would shut down so many businesses. It's not funny.
It probably will.
That is a tremendous boat anchor on the economy. I don't see that happening.
Okay, but it's already there. It's already passed. It is law. You have until December 31st.
There's a difference in having a law and how it's enforced. I have a feeling that this is not going to be a no holds barred kind of enforcement action here. I think you're going to be reminded, at the very least, if what you're saying is true.
Okay, it is absolutely true. We did a show on it.
The enforcement.
Oh. I mean, I can't speak for enforcement.
There's all sorts of laws for your state right now that probably don't allow you to have sex in a specific position. So those aren't enforced, or they're unenforceable. I'd like to hear a legal test to this, to be honest.
Well, you'll find out if you just don't register and see what happens. You can be the guinea pig then. I know I'm going to go. I have it on my agenda to, because they sent me an email. They're not playing around.
I haven't gotten any emails.
Well, then you got a crappy business bank account. My bank that I use for business sent me the reminder.
So
I'm sorry I took us off there, but
that was not
I absolutely apologize. I took us off the rails. I hate doing that, but I've been meaning to bring this up now for like 2 or 3 shows, and I always forget. And we were talking about the registration, and that just hit me.
This is if you have a business at all. I'm assuming you're saying this is a public service announcement.
Any business, and if you go to the Financial Crimes Federal Crime
FinCEN
Board, FinCEN, there's a checklist, and it takes you through, and it will give you an answer on whether you have to file, and the odds are overwhelmingly you're going to have to file.
Even if you have
if you register a business, basically, you do. If you're a sole proprietor, if I'm remembering correctly, please don't take this as the gospel. I'm pretty sure when I went through that, sole proprietors didn't have to. But if you registered a business anywhere and you have a federal tax ID number, there are so tiny little loopholes that you can go through to not have to register. And this came about because of all the shell corporations. And I think a lot of it is going to be helpful. If you're a legitimate business, there's no reason why you can't just register. It takes about 20 minutes from what I was reading. You just upload your documents, you fill in the forms, you make your declarations, and that way they've KYC'd your business. That's all it is. It's kind of like when you sign up for an exchange, right? So I think it's garbage because I hate when they do this stuff, but at the same time, it's quick and easy and you save yourself some headaches.
So let's see. Would this be the link? A link to the? I just put it in chat here. You want to look at that link? Tell me if that's the right place to do it. I mean, if you're going to scare people like this, you should at least tell them where to go.
FinCEN.gov BOI. I don't know. Let me look it up.
So you don't even know. You're just saying
I can't recognize a link.
Apparently not.
Yes, this is it right here. That is correct. So you have to file on here, and there's an FAQ. How do you get your ID number? How do you qualify for exemptions? How do you file? There is your business KYC.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about OpenSea then.
Yes. So back on the rails. My fault, 100%. I apologize, but I know a lot of you people out there are running businesses. OpenSea, and we were talking about your zip bugs and those probably not being securities. We talked about things that were securities that can't be, and they can go back and forth.
That my little art pictures that I put on OpenSea would be securities if I did other things like created an ecosystem with them.
That would depend on why people are buying them.
So, okay. Well, you know what else people buy that's part of an ecosystem?
What's that? Star
Wars action figures.
There's no expectation of profit on those.
What? Yes, there is. You're going to buy them thinking that they're going to go up in value. Just like you could buy Barbies, old Barbies, and do the same thing. There's all sorts of things toys you can buy expecting them to go up in value later.
Nah, you buy toys to play with.
So that happens. Okay, what about baseball cards, sir? Are those securities?
I don't believe they're securities, no.
No, they're not. That was a question I knew the answer to. So baseball cards would fit your definition of securities. And the reason they're not is the same reason why NFTs aren't going to be found as securities. So baseball cards are neat little cards that originally cost like 5 cents for little kids to show baseball statistics. And they started getting rare. Nowadays, most people buy them because they're going to be worth something is going to be worth more money in there. And of course, they do get into the sport as well.
It doesn't meet the fourth prong of Howey.
What's the fourth prong?
I know what the fourth prong is, which is why I said it doesn't meet it.
Which means, so you're not going to educate your people here?
Oh, Faz. So when you even if you're buying a baseball card for, let's say, profit or right, Punjab, Pokemon cards, same thing. The last prong of the Howey test tells you whether or not Magic the Gathering cards. The fourth prong of Howey gives you the ability, you are not relying on anybody else but yourself. It doesn't matter what Magic the Gathering does. It doesn't matter what Lucasfilm or Star Wars branding does. They're not helping to set that value or set that expectation of profit.
So the fan base is not what others do then, right?
The fan base is not what others.
So the fan base would be, if the fan base did something to make those cards worth more, like, I don't know, buy them, then you wouldn't
No,
be
that's
relying on the efforts
reaching.
of others?
That's reaching. So you're not relying today. If you buy a Michael Jordan basketball card, right? Michael Jordan doesn't play basketball anymore. There's no expectation that Michael Jordan is going to, it's relying on the efforts of others. He's not going to make that card more valuable because he doesn't play basketball anymore.
That makes it more rare.
It does, but that has nothing to do. There's no third party that's creating, maintaining, or expecting a return or the value for that card to go up.
Perhaps you need to define third party, because when I think of based upon the efforts of others, I'm thinking one or many people could expend an effort to make that card worth more.
No.
Anyone.
That I don't think is enough to trigger that fourth prong.
So, and you're just going to give this kind of wishy-washy, like, yeah, that's not how law works.
I don't think there's the law is not black and white. It moves a little bit because it's just like everything else. And what I've been telling you for years, it's interpretation of the data. Just like things can be securities and then not be securities and vice versa, the same goes for the prongs of the Howey test.
That would sound to me like things can go both. Okay, let's quote you now. Things can both go in and out of being a security, depending on the day, depending on what you do. I mean, all you need to. So that sounds like no one's safe from the SEC.
Listen, so I'm not a securities lawyer, right? So I don't know what time frame you would have to.
Titan segment here.
You would have to set to make something. I don't know. Maybe it's in that bill that passed, right? I don't know. We didn't read it line by line. It could be in there saying after 12 months or after 2 years or whatever. So you can call anything an investment. I invest in my new set, right? That's an investment for me because I think it's going to yield a return of more people liking what they see on the screen. That isn't a financial gain for me. That is an aesthetic gain. That is a feeling of pride for me. So you can call anything an investment. That doesn't mean it's an investment. Just like the opposite goes. You can say something's not an investment that is, but it doesn't make it true either.
I can call anything an automobile. It doesn't mean it's not an automobile. Got it. Okay.
Automobile? Where is Grandpa's car, Donger?
I can call anything a pair of glasses. It doesn't mean it's a pair of glasses. That's a word salad. Okay. So
it's not a word salad.
What you're trying to get at, and you're trying to say that I think you're trying to say that people will call anything an investment. Like I've just invested in 12 weeks of chocolate, and of course you're gonna pile your way through it and realize your investment. But so Punjab makes a good point. The person or company putting those things out are not calling them an investment. So if my thought would be, if you were encouraging people to buy them by telling them that it's going to be worth more money in the future, that satisfies your prongs a little bit more.
It does. It weighs on it.
Than just not saying anything.
That's why they call it the scales of justice, right? You have the scales, and as you have your evidence and what things and how things go, it tips it one way or the other to see if it meets the criteria under the law.
So regarding your ecosystem, because you just made it sound like anything that's part of an ecosystem is a security. So my son plays video games, and he buys these little figures with little people on them and stuff, and there's a little round thing on the bottom, a little base for them, and apparently you can touch that to your phone or to something else, and it can enable something in a game. Or we should take off law with Titan because good. We all know that he's a good lawyer. So he's bought a figure now that can be used in a game, and I would assume that how ubiquitous that character is would, be subject to the rules of supply and demand. There might be a little ecosystem around there where people might want to buy these figures so they can enable functionality in games. Is that enough to make it a security?
It's enough to make it a taxable transaction if he sells it for more than he paid for it. So likely...
Everything is a taxable transaction. Okay, if I were to sell my glasses to somebody, or this pencil to somebody, if I sold this to you for 1 cent, that's a taxable transaction.
But did he buy it?
The only reason we don't tax it is such a small amount of money and it's not recorded. Nobody can really tell. And not only that, the government's not going to go after it because their part of 1 cent transaction is not going to be worth much to them.
What was the intent of the purchase? If we go to the FazRadio Discord, we had our old friend Putty in there talking about NFTs last week. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't know the exact quote, but he said, and you said it too, as a matter of fact, that you bought them to flip them.
Yep.
So
right.
that is a declaration that will help tip that scale of justice further over to that side that those are securities.
You know what else I bought to flip? Magic the Gathering cards. Yes, I did, sir. In fact, I've been collecting them for over 20 years now, and I have these huge card catalogs that I put them in, and I can even value how much. Did you know that Magic cards are worth more of their value? They're worth more than their weight in gold. Okay, so a lot of Magic cards, and they retain their value too because they're always printing different sets and stuff like that. They're never printing the same exact card. They might have a reprint, but it looks different. And so I have very intentionally, for many, 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 many years, purchased Magic cards expecting a profit off of them. Now, it just so happens they are game cards too. But riddle me that. Securities law with Titan right here.
I don't know. I'm not a securities lawyer.
Well,
I'm telling you that it does.
What would fit and what wouldn't fit. And I'm saying I'm buying those Magic cards with the intent to flip them. It's a common enterprise. There's an investment of money. And what's the third one? There's another prong in there. It probably fits that too. I'm relying upon the efforts of others, not the company, but others. The company has been working for years to make sure that people don't think it's security. But all those people playing Magic and making tournaments, well, actually, Magic the Gathering makes tournaments. Isn't that nice? All those people playing Magic makes that card valuable. So I would suggest that Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering cards are securities under what you've been trying to put across.
I'm not trying to put across. I'm trying to give people an idea of how they apply this test. And you could, if it meets those, they could deem it a security. Why they don't, I don't know. Maybe there's an exception. But what I'm telling you is that that's what's used to see if something, it's the test to see if something can be considered as security.
All right. So, but, I just want to make it clear that if you think that NFTs fit those things.
Some do, I do think, yeah.
What qualifies as an exception? Because all you need to find out is what the exception is with Magic and Pokemon cards, and then just replicate that for your NFTs. Problem solved, right?
Potentially, sure. I would think.
The company producing Magic the Gathering is not sharing profit with you, even indirectly, like buying supply and burning it. Well, we don't know that. But I know what you're getting at. There's lots of crypto companies that apparently like to do that. They don't. I like that. So that would make my NFTs not securities because I'm not buying supply and burning it. I'm just letting people buy them. And you know what I'm doing? I'm asking for a royalty if they resell them. That's what happens with art, and that's what happens with books.
Oh, Mr. Faz. Why do you have to have royalties?
Yeah, why have royalties? Isn't that just a weird concept?
No, it's not a weird concept, but I'm asking you why you would want royalties.
Why not? I made it. It's rewarding me for my. There's
But-
nothing wrong with collecting royalties.
But then you sold it. Do you get royalties on a car that you sell? If you take your car and sell it to a guy down the street, if that guy takes and makes it better and sells it, do you get a royalty?
I think arguing the concept of royalties is going to be a non-starter for you, because there's so many things out there that you get royalties for. Let's look and see what Google says. Royalties are used for a variety of reasons, including income for creators. Well, I would want income, so I'm a creator. I'd want income. Industry growth, stable income for investors, risk reduction, digital payments. So, yeah, I like the idea of me just getting money off of them so that I can. What's this? Royalties allow creators to earn money from their work without having to sell the rights outright. This can provide a continuous income stream. That's awesome. I want that.
So why don't you do that with cars or a house? A house would be even better.
Good if I chose to go that direction.
So why don't you?
I don't know. I bet there's a whole bunch of additional laws that apply to real estate, and possibly even cars, but real estate in particular, I would think. And I bet you could probably get royalties if you created a car rather than bought a car from someone else. I think it's more about creators.
Right. Well, so there's professional car flippers out there. They will take and they'll find like a 68 Dodge Charger and turn it into that Dukes of Hazzard car. So why wouldn't they get royalties? Why shouldn't they?
I would think so. Let's read it here. Royalties can be an important source of revenue for those in the entertainment industry who have uneven income streams, but they're also common in other types of business. For example, royalties are common for inventors who patent their products. So I would think that you buying something. So if you bought a zip bug and resold it, you're not going to get royalties off of it. That's not the way that OpenSea is set up. The royalties only really go to the creator.
Right. So the original owner of the car should be getting royalties. The original owner of the house should be getting royalties.
Not the original owner. That's like let's
so the builder
with car. I'm the zip bug.
Okay, the builder.
I'm the zip bug creator. If I sold you a zip bug and then you sold it to someone else, you might be the original owner. I could have made it for you. What was that?
Possible. It was up like forever.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Let's see. If I was selling an NFT for a share of rental property to earn in the profits, then you have a case. I like that. So if I were to have my zip bugs feature in a game, and then with all these other people playing the game, if you own the zip bugs, you get a share of like however much all zip bugs got. I could see that as being a security. I can't see the zip bug itself as being a security, but rather my process of being a security. So
that's a big rabbit hole.
What's that?
That's a big rabbit hole right there.
I thought that things themselves aren't securities. That it has to be how you use that thing as security. But I'm no lawyer. Remember, we've been doing this law with Titan business here. Let's take that off now. There we go. So that's my understanding is that there are items. Oranges aren't securities. Orange groves aren't securities. But depending on how you sell the oranges and how you sell rights to the grove and stuff like that, those could be security. The process could be a security, and then you get in big trouble and have to disgorge all of your ill-gotten gains. The original
Golden Hawk with the win.
Regards the prong commonly summarized as efforts of others didn't literally mean any others. It was referring to the managerial efforts of any organizer. That's interesting. So any organizer. The Howey case was a Howey company offering to sell interest in its orange orchards to investors, and the company would manage the orchards for everyone. So here's a question, Golden Hawk. So I have these zip bugs, and people are buying these zip bugs from me, and of course I'm getting royalties because I'm the creator. And some manager decides to come along and start like turning it into this thing where everybody can get a share, including me, because I might have them. Do I get in trouble or does that manager get in trouble? My thought actually is that the manager would get in trouble because he's the one, it is the one that makes the process. The only reason the SEC invented this whole parody of going after NFTs is because people started making very lucrative profits. That's true. Otherwise, no one would be interested in even charging taxes on it. That's right. Again, selling this pencil online. Nobody cares unless I sell 50 God million of these things and make a whole buttload of money. And then the tax man will come running. They don't care about one. They care about 1 million. 1 million of anything. You get 1 million of anything and they want it. Want their share of it.
So why do we pay taxes, Faz?
Because it's to support our countries, to keep us safe. It's to keep us fed, and the country. The whole purpose of a country is to serve those who are in it. I think the most basic part is to keep us from being attacked by other countries, probably.
But they can print unlimited money.
Yeah.
So why do we need to pay taxes then?
The mandate of the U.S. government is for the United States to regulate commerce. So it's in the in our Constitution. So somebody's got to pay for that regulation authority.
They can print unlimited money to pay for it.
Yeah, but if you understand how money works, which is your the way that you're talking about this is like you're being intentionally obtuse. If you understand how money works, printing money indefinitely doesn't work.
We know that with the inflation that we've seen over the last 6 years.
Oh, it's kind of funny how the United States can print all this money and still get a lot for it, or continue getting suckers to give it value. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the United States is very powerful, and we can knock people around both financially and physically. The fact that we overprint a lot of our money, that just causes other countries to do the same because they're all in that same conspiracy there, as you would put it.
Well, you were saying the government wants to come for their money if you sell, 50 million pencils.
It needs money to run. Yeah.
But they just print it.
Isn't all those road signs out there are free? Somebody had to pay for those.
Part of the reason that we have to pay taxes is to give that value to the unlimited money that they print. Because if people don't back that somehow with revenue receipts, it's worthless.
Okay, so you're almost there. The reason the taxes are there is for us to give value to the government. Now, what they do with it is they might print money with some of it, and they might spend some of that money that you give them. It all depends.
That's not the way it works.
Well, that's how it works. Literally, you're giving them value because that is you're required by law to give them value. It doesn't matter what they do with it. They could decide to print money with it, print a whole bunch of extra money, or they could decide to do more. But the Constitution says that the government does more than just print money. You got to pay for all those other things too. Those road signs, like I said, the post office, that's something that the government pays for. It's in the Constitution as well.
The post office is in the Constitution.
Yes, sir. So that's why you're giving them money. And just saying that the government exists to just make money, that's kind of short-sighted. The government
It's not what I said.
Us. Okay. Go into detail.
Well, I'm not trying to dive down this rabbit hole, but you were saying the taxes, the government will come for their money.
They will.
And the securities laws, they people are making money, as Zorro said. And so they lick their chops and they want their cut. It's almost like it's extortion. So if you go and do anything that makes enough money to potentially give revenue to the government, are you saying that they're going to try and make it a security just so they can get their cut? Is that what I'm hearing?
I've already said it. The SEC is one of many different ways the government tries to get money from you. They tax everything. They
do.
So, by the way, the United States Postal Service is rooted in the Constitution, specifically Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, which gives Congress the power to establish post offices and post roads. And if I'm not mistaken, the that clause also is what they use to make interstate highways, because those are believed considered post roads. Now, I understand there are roads that are were just dedicated for the post office in the past, but they found that the more they had, the better commerce went in the United States. And I'm going to say, if I recall, I don't know that entirely. Government is only supposed to spend 20% of GDP on anything more causes a deficit. Taxes are supposed to fill that gap. These last few presidents have been worse for our debt. Yeah, all of them have been worse for our debt. But I just wanted to make it clear that the government is collecting taxes, and it doesn't matter what they do with it. They're going to get that money from you. And there's,
do you understand?
If you go buy something, there's a sales tax. You sell something, there's a tax. You give money away to people, there's taxes. You can't give more than $18,000 to somebody. More than that, it's less than $18,000 a year. It's a gift. More than that, you're going to be paying taxes on it. I mean, just all sorts of crazy stuff. Oprah found out the hard way when she started giving out automobiles to contestants on her show. They wound up having to pay just onerous taxes on them. They had to sell the car in order to pay off the taxes for the car that they just got. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, wait, that wasn't what I wanted to click on. Paying taxes was a very decent and professional way to disguise the way they take money from people. Otherwise, it would be robbery. So again, the federal government does, in a very real sense, keep their people safe. I'll say of any country's government. That's why you have a military. The taxes are going to pay for the military. They're going to pay for other things too. Like I said, the roads and whatever. And of course, now there's taxes for everything. There's if you buy cigarettes, you buy alcohol, there's a tax on that. There's taxes on everything.
So the way that you talk, Faz, I'm not sure you understand how the monetary system works.
You know, I the more I learn about it, the more it scares me, and the more I realize that I don't know how it works. So I'm in good company, because a lot of us don't, including you. But you're going to tell me you know.
So we don't pay taxes into a big pool, and then they take that big pool and distribute it out. That's not the way it works.
Good, because I didn't say how they divide it up.
Well,
I just said they take your money and they use it however they use it.
But they don't. What they do is they spend the money first. They get money by selling treasuries to the Fed. The Fed then prints the money. They take that money. They pay the Social Security benefits. They pay the states to build the roads, to give the local municipalities their road signs that you were talking about. And then they circle back and say, hey, we want some of that back because, these treasury bonds that we floated, we got to pay for those. And so they collect taxes in order to satisfy those treasuries. So they spend the money first, then they come for the taxes. It's not like we pay taxes and then there's this big pool of money and they go, oh, out of that big pool of money, we're going to pay the Social Security out and everything else. Most people don't understand that, and they think it's...
Most people understand that they take your money and then they use it for whatever purposes they use it for. It doesn't really matter how.
It goes directly to pay the debt. That's what it goes to.
Sure.
It does. Your taxes don't pay for anything.
That's fine. You still have. You're not disagreeing with me here. They use it however they use it.
Well, I get irritated when people go, oh, well, I don't want my tax dollars going to NASA and shooting stupid rockets up in the air. It doesn't. Trust me. It just goes to pay the debt that they've already spent the money on for that rocket.
Well, that's kind of moving the goalposts for our conversation here. We're talking about taxes and how that would work with what's that with securities. Securities being the SEC being one way that the United States government collects taxes. Yeah, there's all sorts of conspiracy theories about how they divide up their money. I think we'd be going way off the reservation here. We start talking about how they divide up their money. They tend to do it a bit secretively, and they make it really hard for people to find that out. That's as far as I'll go on that subject.
Okay.
Oh, this is true. The flat earthers don't want our taxes going to NASA because, I mean, that's a big waste of money. Really, it's just a big production, because it's a production that they've been successfully doing since the 60s or the 50s when we launched Sputnik. We didn't launch Sputnik. It was the Russians, but they're complicit in it too. You see, we don't even like them, and we do it too, because it's kind of like the airlines. You know how they all raise their prices at the same time. Us and Russia, when we send people up to the International Space Station, we both send people to this movie studio underwater or something, and then everybody like hangs out there. I bet. I'm curious if flat earthers know anything about the Boeing space capsule we sent up there to bring astronauts up to the space station, and now apparently it can't come back, and now Elon Musk has to go save their asses. They have 2 astronauts up there. They can't get down because Boeing apparently fucked up a space capsule. But it's all made up anyway. I mean, they need some sort of entertainment. It's not good entertainment. It's like a bad TV show that just keeps going on and on and on because they need a reason to explain why they're not spending your money, because according to you, they've already spent it. Hold on, I got to sneeze. Yes, I'll go off the reservation a little bit here and say that we have 2 astronauts from the United States that are up in the space station, stuck up there because Boeing apparently doesn't know how to test their space capsules well enough to trust it coming back down with two live humans on it. So Elon now has to send up a capsule, take 2 people off their crew, and bring down these 2 astronauts.
I saw something about that, and I didn't read the article though. Is that what that's interesting? That's what that's about. After all these issues with these planes the last 6 months, I'm telling you.
What planes?
All the plane crashes.
I almost sneezed. I was gonna sneeze and I stopped. Okay, look. People are going to want evidence of me sneezing now because I ask for evidence all the time. All right. What's this about planes? All these planes crashing?
Yeah, there was all kinds of problems these last 6 months with airplanes and maintenance and.
Well, I know the 737 MAX hasn't been doing very well. Are you talking about the one that blew up the door plug over Portland? That one.
Yeah, there was a couple of them that had like door issues and skidding off the runways, and all the maintenance records were forged, and all this crap was happening.
You know what's even worse than planes? Cars. Cars are terrible. I mean, they spin off the road all the time. They're so unsafe. The people die in them all the time. I mean, even if you do something just like drink something, if you drink the wrong thing, cars don't work right anymore, and then they kill you. Why does the government want to kill so many people? I think it's because they want, it's inheritance taxes. Everybody who dies in a car accident actually has a rich uncle that or is a rich uncle that's going to pass things to their relatives, and they want the inheritance tax off that. So cars are far worse than planes. You should go after cars instead of planes. But yeah, planes do have problems. They crash.
Yeah, they were accusing a lot of these companies, especially Boeing, of not doing the maintenance they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, so companies are corrupt. I hear pilots know that the Earth is flat.
Maybe. There's some that insist on it, sure.
So there are some pilots that insist on that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was facetious there. No. Pilots know that the Earth is round. Okay, they know that, and if they don't, well, I feel sorry for them. I'd like to see how pilots. Well, maybe pilots that fly from one city to another that are very close to each other, but if they ever have to fly across an ocean or have to, I don't know, fly far enough to take advantage of the curvature of the Earth, I think they kind of know.
I don't know. It's a big mystery.
See, that's the thing is people like to say a bunch of things that they don't know. And then when you talk about it seriously, they go, "Oh, It's really about the implication. It's not about the knowledge. I'm all about the knowledge.
No, I'm just not going to get into this discussion with you on this cast.
I know, I was trying.
So I'm avoiding it.
Okay. Boeing workers say that planes are garbage. Well, apparently Boeing, like the 737 MAX, is garbage, and the newer stuff seems to be. I think Boeing has been going the wrong direction. Even their space capsule is having problems. Fictitious space capsule.
So I do think that it caught up to them. I think they've just been skimping the last few years. I mean, look, the workforce is a mess right now. The economy is a mess.
Yeah, they have been.
People can't find workers. The planes have to still keep flying to make profit. So they've been skimping for a few years on this stuff, signing things they shouldn't have been signing for maintenance. And they thought, oh, it won't come back to bite us. And sure enough, it did. And at the expense of costing people their lives in some cases. Was that a sneeze or did you die?
That was a sneeze. Yeah. I hit the mute button, I think.
I didn't hear it, but I saw you disappear, and I didn't know if you were having a heart attack and dying or if you were sneezing.
Way to go, having a heart attack on your own show. It'd make FazRadio more popular.
I could sell the screenshot with an expectation of profit, and then it would be a security.
No, you can. Just selling something with an expectation of profit does not make something a security. Okay, there's more to it than that. You said it yourself. Those are the craziest sneezes. I do them off camera because if you saw them, oh my God, it's like nothing you've ever seen. Okay, see how that works.
Does the booger snot hang out?
You never know. I do them off camera.
Your nose is like bright red like Rudolph right now.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so no, selling that would not make it a security.
I'll make it a security. I'll sell it on the exchange.
Every time you sold it. Well, if you're a creator, I think that's okay. Anyway, getting back to OpenSea, if you did that to art NFTs, that would shut down every single creator out there online. I mean, we'd all have to just paint things with physical paint after that. So, because that would be legal, but not doing it and selling it online.
So I do think that's part of it. And I posted that on when Jesse commented on it on Twitter. I threw my 2 cents in there, and I think that's part of it is the scare tactics, right? If they can get people's interest away from it and get people fearful so that they're not going there, they're not creating, they're not buying, they're not selling, it kind of just kills the whole industry over time because people lose interest in it if they're scared. That's part of it is the scare tactic.
Here's what happens in reality, okay? So the SEC works very hard not to lock down a definition because the moment they define something, people will wrap their business plans around that definition. They'll be like, oh, okay, so if you sell it for $5, it's a security, but if you sell it for $1, it's not. Then you'll see everything being sold for $1. Let's just say online or whatever. They'll wrap their business plan around it, and then they'll come up with a business plan to sell things for $1 and over. Who knows? So they're never going to tell you this exact situation is a security. They'll say it acts like a security, and we don't talk about what we do with individual companies. We have an agreement with them. We've said it's a security, but we're not going to tell you the components of what they're doing. They're not going to define that out. They're just going to say whatever that was. So as long as you don't photocopy what this other company does, then you're fine. The problem is you don't know everything that a private company does because unless you know every single bit of documentation they did, you can't tell. So what would be great is if the SEC had some rules and the rules said this and this and this was a security. What they have right now is a bunch of vague rules, which they choose to enforce sometimes and choose to not enforce other times. They write little notes saying that we're not going to enforce that. Their rules are basically saying anything you sell for profit, in my opinion, is a security. And that just gives them infinite ability to go after things. And the people who get out of those cases are the rich ones. Elon was sued by the SEC recently over promoting Dogecoin. Did you hear about this today?
I did.
He got sued, and today a judge basically closed the case, saying that the SEC's assertions didn't even make sense. And so, but Elon Musk has enough money to run the U.S. government ragged on this case forever. He could violate laws left and right, and it doesn't matter. He has enough money to just tie things up in court for years and years and years. And the same with Ripple, and that's what they did, and that's why they won.
Well, there's another aspect to it, and I went off on this on the show that we did about when that proposed law had come out about switching them between the CFTC and the SEC, and you had to declare which ones you were, and you had to explain to the SEC why it was your project or your token or your whatever was not a security. That's backwards from traditional evidentiary law, right?
Proven innocent.
Right. And they're trying, and I went off on this on that show, and that drives me absolutely crazy. And the same thing goes with the IRS with taxes. You have to prove to us why you don't owe this money. Bullshit. You need to prove to me why I do. And the SEC needs to prove why that is a security if that's what they're asserting. And you've said it a million times on here. The burden of proof is on the person making the assertion. But the government doesn't operate that way. They operate whatever's in their best interest to put them in the best position. And that's the danger, and that's why it's irresponsible and reckless for them to do what they're doing with just slapping Wells notices on companies like OpenSea.
So OpenSea, in my opinion, allows for the exchange of a lot of very different types of NFTs. But if the federal government is going to say any NFT is a security, that's unenforceable, in my opinion. There's so many out there right now, so many out there that they can't and won't go after every single one out there. All they're going to do is just make people scared and maybe make them stop. Maybe
it'll at least slow them down.
If your NFTs, here's the funny thing about it is if your NFTs don't make a lot of money, I don't think they go after you. They go after the big successful projects like Bored Apes.
Well, and that's Bored Apes kept creating more and more utility over time. They even had a website at one point where they were going to make a game out of it and everything else. They were trying to provide that utility. And there was certain websites that you went to that were partners with them that if you had to have a Bored Ape in your wallet in order to be able to log in and see what was behind that paywall. And your entrance ticket was a Bored Ape. So that was creating an expectation of better things. So I think that it's not a definitive yes, but it tips it more on that towards, yeah, I think so.
Well, okay. I just told you that my son buys these little action figures with bases on them. I don't know the name of them that enable certain things in games. It opens a door for you and enables you to have access to something, just like you were just saying. Why is that not a security?
Well, there's things that you can gain monetarily behind those paywalls with Bored Apes. With the game piece, it may or may not. I don't know what game he's playing, but if it's just to get a cool skin that doesn't provide you with anything more than a +10 armor, I mean, you can't really say that creates value for anything unless you can take and sell that skin later. I don't know. I don't know the why behind the why.
I think the important part of that whole thing you just said is the I don't know part. The average person, and I think any securities lawyer watching this FazRadio right now is going to be like, oh my God, they got it so wrong. But what I'd like to mention is this is so complicated coming from the SEC, and the way that they create fear is so complicated that the SEC is going to get its way by all it needs to do is lie or even assert the wrong thing. It can just say it believed it. It doesn't matter. It can shut people down. if it wants to. If you make less than a certain amount of money, if they went after me for my zip bugs, I'd just be like, okay, I'm done. Can't do anything about it. Boy, I didn't know what I was doing there. Didn't make any money off it, so they can't, But I guess they could find me and make a poster child of me or something. Maybe my FazRadio friends would bail me out, but you know how that goes. Not like I'd be bailed out like BitBoy Crypto was,
Yeah, we'll call you Zip Boy.
Zip Boy. There'll be a name for. Oh, that's the guy with the zip bugs.
There'll be other podcasters will be talking about you.
So we've been at this for over an hour now, and
yeah,
you have like barely moved. And so I want to mention that Titan's been giving me a lot of trouble because I move around in the frame here like this. And if you notice, he is rock solid, like a televangelist preacher sitting at a desk with a podcast. That's where I'm getting that from. And I think you want the most perfect shorts possible so that whenever you're talking, you're just right there, framed right in the middle. I can't be framed. I can't be contained. I have to move around. Even my zip bugs, they're intentionally vague. They depend on pareidolia, where it looks like something is another thing. So even my zip bugs can't be contained. So yeah, you can play it safe and be contained like that. I bet you follow the rules too, don't you?
Not at all.
Well, then you're living a lie.
So I absolutely want to take the show to a more professional look. That's why I invested the time in doing what I did to make it look nice and to present it a little bit better. Absolutely. I want to take this maybe further than you. Maybe I'm taking it too seriously.
Well, right now, FazRadio isn't making any money, so it's hard to take it seriously at the moment. But I don't know. I would find a podcast to be pretty boring if somebody's sitting at very well kept at a desk. Where is your bow tie? Okay, that's what you need. You need a bow tie.
No, I just wear black t-shirts.
5-day growth of beard there, because that doesn't make you look. I mean, you shined up the noggin quite well. See, as you see, I should have shined.
Yeah, my lighting will be better next week.
Well, all we need to do is find you to go on a rant about something. Find you a good rant.
And, I had a couple good rants in here.
But will you be so well kept at your desk with your rant? I mean, are you going to like lean over and like just start shaking paper at people? I think you should.
That's a good idea. I'm going to have to get some paper and put it over here so I can shake it, and I'll do it by the mic so it makes a lot of extra noise too.
Wait, do I have some paper here? Like that. Oh, this one has a password on it.
I'll say, "Get off my lawn."
Mm-hmm. Actually, the best passwords are passphrases. So "get off my lawn." That wouldn't be the best password, but if you replaced a couple of those words and maybe put it in, I don't know, ampersand in there, it'd be a really good password. Are you embarrassed?
It'll be a big Faz back here, and he'll be like God in the background, like a little halo of Faz face back there. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think I need some sort of like animated, like really cool background. We have some cool backgrounds that we don't use very often, like that one, and then we have that one, and then we have that one, and then we have. Am I ruining your style?
No.
No.
So 8-bit. Let me tell you about these plants. Right, these plants are over 20 years old. I got when I was living in California. This is some of the ground cover. They're called Wandering Jews, and they'll go in perpetuity if you clip them off, put them in water. I did run out my purple ones though. They died off. I was really sad. I couldn't keep them going long enough. But these are from California in the early 2000s, and I just keep making more and more and more of them.
All right, are we done?
I think so.
Where's the button? Here it is. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming by. That's not it. This one? No. There it is.